From starting out with mixed reviews, with some calling it boring and too melodramatic, Yellowstone has turned the critics around and viewers are obsessed. As great as the show is, not every scene made it into the final cut. Today, we'll be taking a look at those that got deleted. Yellowstone returned to our screens for Season 5 in November 2022, and its premiere saw it reach a staggering 15.7 million viewers. When referring to Yellowstone these days, reviews like "it's a powerhouse," "addicting," and "entertainment at its best" are what you would likely read. With a great cast, interesting storylines, and beautiful backdrops, Yellowstone has firmly put its mark on the map. Like all great shows with invested viewers, we want to know all the added extras, or in this case, the deleted ones. Yellowstone's deleted scenes have been searched and viewed on TikTok 4.7 billion times. Yes, you heard me right. So let's delve into the deleted scenes and find out exactly what we missed out on. And what were the cast's thoughts on the scenes that didn't make it? In Season 2, a 30-second deleted scene from the episode titled "Blood the Boy," showing John Dutton's more vulnerable side, has been released. His grandson, Tate Dutton, played by Brecken Merrill, was kidnapped by neo-Nazis hired by the Beck brothers. They are interested in acquiring the land at Yellowstone Dutton Ranch and the surrounding areas at any cost. They have previously made threats, issued warnings, and are not afraid to go to any lengths to get what they want. Sitting out on the porch, deciding on their next move, and having a heart-to-heart with Rip Wheeler, John reflects on his life. He then painfully admits, "My whole life is just a long series of losing the things I love." Fans will know John lost his wife, Evelyn Dutton, played by Gretchen Mol, when their children were younger. He's carried this deep-rooted pain ever since. But then he switches. He's determined to not let history repeat itself. John says, "I'm not going to lose this one, Rip. Not this one." He then jumps up, motivated to get his tricky plan into action, to save his grandson and avoid another heartbreaking loss. This emotional side of John Dutton is not something the audience sees often. So could the reason this scene never made the cut be because fans don't want John Dutton's mean exterior and serious demeanor broken? Actor Kevin Costner, who plays John Dutton, is said to have become quite emotional over this heartbreaking deleted scene. I'm sure anyone with a shred of empathy can see why. Fast forward to Season 4, Episode 8. Kelly Riley, who plays Beth Dutton, filmed a nude scene, which unfortunately did not make the cut.
Season 2, we just get to take them to a different level. Beth, we get to sort of understand a little bit more of her heart. I think there's a little bit more vulnerability in there, plus her fierceness just goes to another level.
In this scene, Beth decides to seduce her husband, Rip, to remind him of what is important in life. While undressing and baring her breasts, she states, "When you're in a nursing home and you're replaying your life in your mind, you will not remember being on time, but you will remember this." The rest of this scene will leave to the imagination. This scene was deleted and not aired in the USA, but it did air in Germany. There's barely any mention of this scene online, nor did the cast mention it in backstage interviews. So we can only assume this scene was deleted because the director thought it wasn't relevant to the episode's storyline, or maybe too much of a good thing loses its impact. As we all know, the show is not afraid to show blood, violence, or nudity, so we'll never know the reason for it not making the final cut. But we'll leave you guys to come to your own conclusions. In the same episode titled "No Kindness for the Coward," we have another deleted scene. The Duttons sit down for a pleasant family dinner with ranch owner John, daughter Beth, and her husband Rip. Things start to turn sour when Beth starts arguing with her dad. Rip becomes seriously annoyed at his wife's outburst. Trying to defuse the conflict, the group relocates to the more intimate lounge and tries to get on with enjoying the evening. During a behind-the-scenes interview, Cole Hauser, who plays Rip, recalls the scene, stating Beth just goes fucking batshit nuts, which as avid fans we know is not unusual for Beth.
It also dives really hard into us as characters and who we are.
Hauser goes on to say, Rip kind of can pull her out of that spinning out of control. It's not so serious when it comes to her getting into that kind of funk. That's the way to her heart, is to make a little bit of a ha-ha about it. It seems the actors are just as invested as we, the viewers. As the two deleted scenes are from the same episode, one can only assume that Beth didn't mind being late for their family dinner, and dedicating time to their relationship was clearly more important. If the dinner scene wasn't relevant enough to keep in the show, I can see why a scene about being late to said dinner wasn't kept in either. So maybe we did solve the mystery after all. Heading back to Season 2, We know of at least 6 scenes deleted during this season, one of which is called Hotel Plans, featuring Thomas Rainwater, played by Gil Birmingham, and Dan Jenkins, played by Danny Houston.
Storyline really gets them to more character depth, especially for the Duttons. And then, of course, for my character, Thomas Rainwater, it just raises the stakes considerably.
During a business meeting out on some land they seem to be developing together, wealthy casino owner Thomas is joined by architect Angela Martin. Martin has been appointed as the new architect to help with the hotel Thomas is building in partnership with Jenkins Casino. Land developer Dan Jenkins seems surprised and unaware of this new development, stating, "We already have an architect," before being reminded by Thomas, "You have an architect for the casino, and now I have an architect for the hotel."
Show's going fast, and you can see that it's headed towards some walls where there's some collisions, so it plays those out, and then there's the aftermath of what comes from those. So we have to deal with situations of our own doing, and then the creation of new ideas.
This statement leads viewers to believe that although it's only one project, there are definitely 2 sides to this project. Stepping aside from the crowd to have a private conversation, Thomas reminds Dan, the firm needs to be Native American. The council will never allow non-native control over the design. Later in the conversation, Thomas reassures Dan, saying that it wouldn't change anything. Dan agrees but doesn't give much away. So does Dan really think it's for the best? Are they really working together in good faith? Or is there something more sinister going on? In seasons 1 and 2, Beth Dutton's assistant at Schwartz and Meyer, Jason, played by actor David Brown, posted to Reddit about his time on the show. With viewers keen to know about the deleted scenes, Jason informed them, stating, "Yeah, there are deletions for sure. They scripted out pretty well though to avoid that, I think." He didn't elaborate much further, only stating he doesn't have many scenes with the show's star Kevin Costner. But he is so gorgeous and kind. He also mentioned his fellow co-star actress Kelly Riley, calling her the most professional, great actor, and lovely to work with. Aw, isn't that nice? When asked by fans how he felt about being killed off, the actor responded by saying that it is heartbreaking to be killed off after going through the process of being cast and spending time on the show. He went on to say that it was fun to film a death scene, but he didn't want it to mean the end of his time on the show. I can imagine the disappointment of landing a dream role, only to find out it's coming to an end a little while later. I do think actor David Brown hit the nail on the head though. The crew on the show does such a fantastic job with the story writing and directing, meaning that there aren't many deleted scenes. Occasionally, if the director feels they would add nothing to the already amazing storyline, some may not make the cut. But it looks like that's rare for this show, hence season 3 has no deleted scenes at all, and season 2 only has 6. That's just another reason to be absolutely obsessed with Yellowstone. So from a very intense family dinner to a shady business deal, these were the Yellowstone scenes that got deleted.